Health is wealth. I know we hear this all the time, but what does it actually mean? Um, on today's live, I will be talking a little bit about health and what it means to me, the journey I went on to learn about the different facets of health. And here I am. Hi, chat. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me. Yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of just share some personal stories regarding health and a little health scare that I got the beginning of 2024 that really woke me up because I think as a kid and as a young person, we have other issues in our lives, and we think about other pressing topics like what's my career gonna be? What are the relationships do I have with my friends or with my family or with my loved ones, with my significant other? So we often take our health for granted because we're at the age where we're invincible. We don't have like back pain or neck pain or organ issues. I mean, that's if we're lucky. I remember when I was younger, I actually had some tummy issues, and my dad would take me to the hospital all the time to get it checked out. And I guess there wasn't really a huge issue other than like I was gassy. And then we did like a what do you call that where they put a tube into your tummy to just check if everything's okay, if you have an ulcer, and they didn't find anything concerning. And since then, I didn't have any issues with my tummy. But I had that issue when I was really young, so around I don't know, maybe 7 or 8, and I was really scared, because it hurt really bad. And then I never had a health issue until okay, this gets a little interesting. Um, 2024. I was watching some astrology videos just for fun, and the lady said something like, "Oh, check up on your health because it looks like you might have some issues around these organs that might put a stop to whatever you're doing." And I thought about, "Oh yeah, like, one day when I fall sick, I'm an actor, so I need to physically go to work. My body is my instrument. Um, my face needs to be working. My brain needs to be communicating with my mouth, with my whole body. Like this is an entire instrument, and your body is so smart. It does a billion things for you every day that we take for granted. It consistently creates new cells. It sorts, what it needs and discards what it doesn't need. It does so many things automatically for you that you don't even think about. And so when I heard about that scare in 2024, I was like, okay, yeah, maybe I should do a health check, and maybe I should, if there's anything scary that comes up with the health check, I should look into it. And I usually do a health check every year. So I did my health check and something came up, and it was like a red flag about my kidneys, and basically it was leaking protein. So there's certain proteins, and it's not like, oh, when you eat meat and you get that protein, right? Like, yes, that's also protein, but your body actually makes certain blood proteins that goes into specific cells of yours that it needs to function. And basically what was happening was that my kidneys filter was like too big, and it was not really retaining the protein, and a lot of the protein was just getting peed out. Sorry that if that's like TMI, too much information. But so I found that out, and I had to learn about that organ, like, oh my gosh, my kidneys might need more attention. And that led me into a whole journey into being more intentional with taking care of myself, taking care of my health, taking care of my sleep hygiene, watching what I eat, not pushing myself too hard, knowing the physical limits of my body. I'm the type of person that I mean, I feel like I can go hard, you know. I'm really resilient and there's a lot that I can take and I am a really hard worker. Um and a lot of the times I also listen to my body, you know. If I'm really tired, I I know that I'm tired and I can either choose to stop working or stop, like pushing myself, or I could choose to continue pushing myself and then suddenly my body would I guess give up. But usually I never get to the point where my body gives up. I would say that I know my limits pretty well. But so when this thing happened with my kidneys, I my dad basically sat me down and was like, Chelsea, you have to take this really seriously because your organs, especially your vital organs, like your liver, your kidneys, your heart, like your brain, a lot of these vital organs can't just repair itself. It's not like your skin where you cut yourself and it heals itself. A lot of the parts of your body can heal itself, but sometimes some vital organs, once it's been abused and once it's damaged, you can't really undo the damage, you know? And that's why they always say prevention is better than cure. And then my dad would continue going about just to scare me, just to make me really see the possibility of my future if I didn't really took care of myself like I would take care of my own baby, of the people that I loved. Um, And he was saying, one day, if your kidneys didn't work, there's a lot of people, and this is the reality for a lot of people, they would have to go to dialysis centers and sit in a chair with a machine to clean their kidneys, to clean their blood for, I don't know, 3 hours a day, or I don't know how long it takes, probably somewhere there, just hours. And it's also really expensive. But can you imagine, your body, your blood is actually being cleaned by your organs? And so he was saying that it's expensive and you can't really do a lot. You get tired really easily. It's not like I'm an actor. I actually just came back from set. A lot of the times we work long hours. We're there 12-hour days or even longer, 14-hour, 17-hour days. Um, and we have to be energetic. We gotta show up when they need us to, And if there's an issue with your health, a lot of the times you can't help it. Even if you mentally want to get there, you just can't. And so when I was luckily I caught this early and I was like, okay, I hope I can still prevent any damage that has not been done to my kidneys. I hope that I can start now to take care of myself, to take care of not only my physical body. Luckily, I think I've also gone through other things in my life that made me realize that I need to take care of my mental health, my spiritual health, and not just my physical health. But 2024 definitely woke me up in terms of my physical health. Because a lot of the times I just think oh, I need to take care of my mental health and my physical health that is more superficial, like the things where you brush your teeth and get enough sleep, eat enough food. But yeah, no, sleep is actually super important. So anyways, so then in 2024, I really worked on so many, many different things. And actually, I was just chatting with ChatGPT. Let me just pull up because I was asking ChatGPT what is self-care. And actually, self-care has so many different arms. So, self-care is basically the practice of taking deliberate actions to maintain and improve your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. And it involves activities that help reduce stress, enhance health, and promote overall balance in life. So there's physical self-care, obvious ones, right? Like exercise, healthy eating, sleep, hydration, and practicing self-compassion. That's the other thing with your physical vessel. As a kid too, when you're growing up and you're going through puberty and your body's changing, so many things are changing about you. Maybe your face is changing, maybe you're getting acne for the first time. Your body image also change, right? Like, you look in the mirror and sometimes you're maybe judging yourself. Maybe you're not being very compassionate to yourself. Maybe you're saying like, "Oh, like I want to look like this Photoshop picture of like washboard abs," or like I want to be 10 or 20 kg or pounds lighter and I'll be happy. And that's also a different relationship that a lot of people have to work on that people don't teach. Oh my gosh. I think people are talking about this more because we have social media, like I'm here talking to you about this. But when I was younger and I was going through all these issues on my own with like body image, eating disorders, I had no one to talk to about this. My parents had no idea what eating disorders were. Oh my gosh, I'm getting emotional even like talking about this because I know so many people who go through this. So many girls who go through it, so many boys who go through it. And now, thank goodness we have the internet. But in those times, like I remember when I opened up to my mom about having an eating disorder, like being so mean to my body. She said that the reason why I, you know, was having an eating disorder was a privilege because at least you had food in front of you to eat, because my mom, she grew up in poverty. Actually, both my parents grew up, you know, in poverty. And so they also brought us up in that way where we had to be very grateful with what we have. And we when we went out to a restaurant, we would just get water, and they taught us the value of money. Let's just say that. And it's just a different time. And so when I was telling my mom, she probably didn't understand. So I had to definitely get myself out of that situation, which was it required self-awareness. Thumbs up for that, yes. And it also required my ability to stop when it has gone too far. So when I was getting losing a lot of weight and getting skinny, and I think I was getting too skinny, and I actually was skipping a lot of meals, in school, and I think there was a point where I realized that my body didn't wanna eat anymore, and I also realized, like, "No, I'm actually kind of skinny now." Like, I don't want to go down a path where I'm not in control of my body anymore, and it just takes over, like, my brain somehow takes over. Because like, your brain is also a very complicated machine, and sometimes you can be sick, your brain can be sick too. That's why people have mental health issues, and it's a real thing. And so I think I'm actually really good at realizing my limits and um, realizing when I'm sick and when I need help. And usually I'm pretty good at like getting myself out of a situation that I put myself in the first place. Especially like before it gets bad, because I definitely don't want anyone to get me out of a bad situation that I created for myself. So, anyways, um, physical self care. Right, we were talking about self care. So there's physical self care, emotional self care. The activities include journaling, therapy, setting boundaries, practicing self compassion. Self compassion, again, super, super important lesson. Mental self care, which is reading, learning new skills, meditation, and engaging in creative activities. This is also something that is super interesting to me because now that I'm not in school anymore, I'm working, right? Like I am working, and you control your schedule most of the time. Other times your work controls your schedule for you. But now that you're an adult, like you have total control of what you decide to do when work is done. You get home, um, and you don't really necessarily have homework unless you give yourself homework. You don't necessarily need to read books if you don't like reading. You don't necessarily need to keep learning if you don't want to keep learning. But what I realized is that when I was in school, I loved I loved learning constantly every day. And actually, I feel like when I was in school, I was probably one of the smartest versions of myself and one of the most well spoken versions of myself because I would practice that all the time. We would have discussions in class about a lot of political topics or social issues or critical thinking skills. And it also, brings you back to a self-awareness of your values and your point of view and, like your beliefs. And I feel like when I'm not in school anymore, you don't necessarily have the opportunities to do that a lot unless, you spark deep conversation with your friends or your coworkers. But a lot of the times, when you're working, you're kind of just zoning in and getting it done. And a lot of the times people just like want to go home. So yeah, I think the challenge with not being in school anymore is finding new ways to learn and constantly challenge yourself and constantly like do this. I guess like I think this live is I think a way for me to continue learning, continue practicing and being with you guys. Hi, thank you for being here, everyone. It's so great to know that I'm not alone and yeah, to be spending time with you guys. Anyways, okay, continuing on. So, self-care, we went through a physical, emotional, mental, and then the last two, and not least, is we have social self-care, which is maintaining healthy relationships, spending time with loved ones, and seeking support when needed. I realize that that's also self-care. I mean, I know some introverts says that being around people might drain them, but maybe it's some people. Maybe some introverts like being with like one person that energizes them. But yeah, social self-care, I think to me, I think spending time with my loved ones and putting in family time or friend time helps me feel like like I'm part of a community or like I have a support system and I can also be there for them, and like help them if they need anything and show up for them. And then there's spiritual self-care, which is practicing mindfulness, prayer, meditation, and improves overall quality of life. It's not selfish but essential for well-being. And it's so interesting that they actually include spiritual self care, because I know some people are not spiritual. Some people don't have a religion. Some people don't believe in God, and that's totally fine. Like, I have never experienced that though, because I do think that, well, first of all, I'm born and raised in Malaysia. I grew up in like a religious country, right? They're actually a Muslim country. I was born and raised Christian. And I was actually very religious when I was younger. Like, but when I came to the US, I feel like religion is different here than it is in Malaysia. Um, I think in Malaysia, it wasn't like huge institutions and it was less like it was more about the principle rather than like you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. It was more like like knowing that someone out there loves you unconditionally and accepts you unconditionally and forgives you unconditionally. And because of that, you're able to also love others unconditionally or and accept them and forgive them. It's like if you felt that from someone, I think it was easier to kind of like, like, like give that back. And then of course, I think I also went on my own spiritual journey when I came to the US, and I went to an art school. And it was the first time where I hear people talking smack about Christianity and talking smack about the Bible, and it being like, why was the first man a man? And why was the second a woman? And why is God a man and not a woman? And, a lot of things came to play, like the patriarchy, um, like gender and homophobia and all those things. And I was like, whoa, like I thought we all just like love each other and we all have a relationship with God, and it doesn't need to be one or the other. And then I learned about a lot of different religion as well, like Buddhism and Hinduism, and I realized and Islam, and I realized a lot of stories are the same. And I still do pray every night. And yeah, I think I usually just I take the principles that I think is is helpful. And again, it comes back to like making people feel what God has made me feel, and it's like an unconditional love and unconditional acceptance. And I know the world is a crazy place. I know there's so many different um, beliefs and dogmas. Um, I'm saying a lot because I know this is a very, very a heated subject. I know spirituality. It's been a timeless topic of conversation. There was a thought I had one day where I really challenged, like my beliefs, because I would have conversations with someone who don't believe in God and isn't Christian, and they would ask me, Chelsea, if you were born in the woods, no one ever taught you about any of this, would you have believed in that? How would you have known? How would you, if no one taught it to you, would you have those thoughts? I know it's really deep. And one day I just told myself, like the fact that I still keep praying every night, like even if the possibility of it is not true, what if when I'm praying and I'm closing my hands together, I'm feeling connected. What if there's actually no one I'm talking to but myself? What if I'm just like talking to myself and having an honest conversation with myself, once a night, and reflecting on the day, reflecting on the good and the bad that happened during the day, and also just wishing everybody well, um, praying for everyone's safety, protection, um, and feeling like the things that are not in my control, like it's kind of released to a higher power. And at the end of the day, I'm loved, and only I know, and God knows. And because of that, like that's okay. And I love myself. God loves me. He accepts me. I accept myself. And I thought like, okay, if I had one honest moment with myself, and even if God is just me talking to myself and it's still filled with like love and acceptance, like that's okay, maybe that's self-love. So anyways, that's what I have to say about spiritual self-care. I know I'm going off on a tangent on so many different topics as it comes along. I honestly, like I said on my lives, I'm just talking to you guys. I am being 100% myself is how I would talk to a friend, and just looking at the chat from time to time. I'm trying not to be too distracted, because if I just look at the chat the whole time, I think I will I will just read the chat all day. But I see the hearts though. I see the hearts from the corner of my eye, and I really, really appreciate it. Um, so there's that. I think health, man, I just want everyone to just even begin like that journey with themselves, with their health, you know. If you could have a relationship with your health, what would it look like? Yeah, I mean, I know people's relationships with themselves are very complicated, right? It's like they always say when you're in a relationship with someone else, you're actually in three different relationships. You're in a relationship with yourself, they are in a relationship with themselves, and then you guys are in a relationship together. Isn't that crazy? And a lot of the times, like, I know we're not really taught in school to learn about ourselves or all the tools of self-awareness and all that kind of stuff, because I mean, who has the time to do that, right? It's not like there's a business out there that can make money from us being more self-aware. I mean, I guess maybe there are like actors, maybe I don't know, therapists, psychologists, maybe, I'm not sure, that can maybe help other people realize that about themselves too. Yeah. uh, but yeah, I think health is a journey, and I also think the beauty of health is that sometimes you might try to be perfect. You know, like when we start a diet or when we go to the gym or we set like a health goal, a lot of the times it's like very restrictive, a lot of the times, all about discipline. But how long does that last? Right? Like, oh, go to the gym for this, and I'm going to do this, 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 and I'm going to only eat like X amount of calories, and I'm not going to eat this group foods, even though I like some of them. But if you like it, you know, sometimes maybe it's good for your emotional well being. And, you know, everything in moderation. Um, and I think my perspective on being healthy too is I don't try to be perfect anymore, because my type of perfect now is as long as you're showing up, as long as you're putting in effort, and as long as you get 80%, right? That's an A, right? Like 80%. I don't know, A minus or whatever. Even B plus, great. That's like so great. 75%, 70%. As long as you get like 75%, 80% close to your goal, I think that that's all you already won. Congrats. You've already won. And you deserve to be congratulated and celebrated. Yeah, because it's hard. I mean, you know, in life, there's so many other things in your life. You know, you're stressed. There's so many responsibilities. You have like a tight schedule sometimes, and you can't always do the best thing for your body sometimes, for your health. You know, it's impossible to get, you know, your physical, mental health. What was the other ones? Emotional health, spiritual health, and I need to look this up. You know what I mean? Social health. Yeah. It's impossible to get all those. What is it? There was five. Yeah. Five self care things ticked every day. I mean, think about it. Every day, you only have 24 hours in a day. You wake up, you do your thing, whether it's school or whether it's work, and then you come home late at night. And sometimes you can either choose one, like physical health, self care, like emotional self care, mental self care, read a book, social self care, go hang out with your friends or talk to your spouse or family, spiritual self-care, like pray, right? So I think as long as you hit maybe 75%, 80%, that's actually just good enough. Just do something little every day for your health. Um, because, yeah, protect your health and protect you like your life depends on it, because it really does. You know how people say, you can have 99 problems, but if you have one health problem, then you only have one problem. Yeah. So I just wanted to come up here and just kind of share that a little bit. And I think I saw this Prince EA video recently that said, eat things that rot, right? He said, like, okay, as long as you do like 3 to 4 times a week exercise, you eat things that rot, and you have good sleep hygiene, you'll be in perfect shape. And I was like, interesting. I never really thought about eating things that rot, right? And when you think about eating things that rot, they're usually, I don't know, vegetables, fruits. What do rot? Like maybe rice, breads. I mean, and I think the logic of that actually makes sense, right? It's like things that are not super highly processed and don't have a lot of preservatives. When you ingest them, your body can break them down easier. So it probably takes your body less energy to break the foods down. And because it takes less energy, your body can probably focus on different parts of your body to repair, um, and to work on. It's kind of like if you think about your body as a big company, right? If it, like, let's say if the food is just the most simple form, right, of breaking things down, if it takes so hard to like break it down and you need all your energy to be there, then there's obviously less that's going to go around. And then, over time, that's going to add up. And, because there's less energy going around in your body, it slowly kind of deteriorates. And the thing with health too, it's like, it's kind of scary. It's like that thing where you might be totally fine, and then one day, it, when you find out that you have a problem, it's kind of too late. Um, and sometimes I see reels that say something like their parents or someone that they love worked so hard, and one day they just like had a blood vessel that popped, or something that like, their body just couldn't keep up with that. And it made me really think, because I mean that can happen to anyone. We're human beings at the end of the day. Um, yeah, yeah. So things that rot, to eat things that rot. I do like my chips. I do like my candy sometimes, my chocolate, uh, ice cream. I mean, those things rot. There's some things that rot, but like again, things in moderation. But since I read about eating things that rot, I was like, okay, I am sold, because it also makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and they're also tasty. They're a way to make things tasty. I just ate McDonald's foods. Dude, I love McDonald's. Yes, I know. Have you seen those videos of McDonald's where they put a burger in a, I don't know, outside for 20, like 2 weeks or something, or some crazy amount of time, and it didn't rot at all? I have no idea. I mean, when I think about it, how is that possible? Do you think they really use that much preservatives? Because I think the bun itself will rot, like it'll be moldy. Yeah. So, anyways, in that Prince video, he also said something like, people will judge you based off three things. And he said some sort of statistic, like, first, the biggest statistic is people will judge you off of your looks. And that's what, 57%? Upon first meeting you, or even if they know you. Yeah, your looks. And second, it would be the way you speak, but it just the way you speak is like a really small percentage, like 8%. So I'm thinking it's how you speak, how you deliver information. And the third is the content of what you're saying. And that is like 40% or something like that. But I only added that into like a food for thought because I was thinking, oh, actually, I guess that is a fact of life sometimes, like I'm the type of person that prefers to know a person, like the content of a person or their substance or something, what they're saying actually means more to me than what is superficial and what I can only see on the outside. Because, a lot of the times they say don't judge a book by its cover. And I really do believe in that. But I think since that video said it is the reality, people do make snap judgments. And a lot of the times it's how you look. And it really made me thinking because I think that also is a indication of your health. Speaking about health, I actually am recovering from the flu right now. I think a lot of people got sick in the last 2 weeks. Oh, everyone I know got sick. Even people who I haven't seen and I'm texting them and they text me a day later and they're like, hey, I'm so sorry for responding late. I am so sick. And like there's a flu going around and I'm actually kind of sick. A lot of people on my team are sick, but we are recovering because our immune systems are warriors and it's amazing. Oh my gosh, it's amazing how your body can fight off diseases and viruses and bacteria. And be careful because there are also certain things that, once you get it, it just stays with you for a long time. So also be careful because your health has limits and don't take it for granted. And I know you are strong. I know you think you can handle everything. And yes, you can. Yes, you can. You are really strong. But just know that like life doesn't need to be harder than it is. If you can prevent yourself from getting in harder situations or circumstances, if you can do whatever you can to love yourself a little bit more or take care of yourself a little bit more, love your body a little bit more, so maybe because if you do that, it's also like loving the people around you more, so that they don't have to do the work for you, so they don't have to take care of you or and I understand like sometimes there are certain things that just happen and it's not within our control. I'm just saying, if you can love yourself and take care of yourself, you deserve it. And I think your body will thank you for it too. Yeah. So I guess that is all that I have to say about health. What do you guys have to say about health? I am looking at the chat right now and I see a lot of love. It says, I eat McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, and Whataburger the most. I do love burgers. I actually have a half-eaten burger in my fridge, but I'm not super hungry right now, so maybe I might eat it tomorrow. But yes, thank you for joining me again, guys, and take care so much. Take care of your health, take care of yourself, love your body, love your health. And I wish you an amazing life. I wish you an amazing health. And I'll see you on the next live. Bye.